Hi, this is James Zhang with Old Capital, and today we have Ford.braly with Marcus and Millichap to go through a new deal. So, Ford, thanks for jumping on, and maybe to kick it off, give us a little bit of your background.
Thanks, James. Pleasure being on again. I always love doing What's the Deal. Yeah, Ford.braly, work at Marks and Millichap in the Fort Worth office, member of the Silva Multifamily team. So Al Silva and I have been working together. I think he's been at Marks and Millichap for 18 years, and I've been here for coming up on 8. Been a lot of fun. Really enjoy multifamily, and our team is super focused on B and C assets and DFW, and that's our bread and butter. And uh, we're doing anywhere from 20 plus deals a year, and our average deal size is something like Oasis Springs, where it's going to be 100 units plus, 250 units and more. And so that's kind of our bread and butter, and typical deal size is kind of that 5 to 30 million range.
All right, let's jump into this deal. So, 154 units over in Hurst. So, let me pull up where Hurst is for people who aren't familiar with Hurst, and maybe tell us a little bit about the location of where this deal sits.
Yeah, I think it's a great location. I love the submarket. Our team has sold a ton of property in this part of town, and everyone really enjoys being owners over here. So you can see it's very well located. It's right by a DFW airport. It's probably a 10-minute drive. So obviously that's a big employment driver. It's about a 10-15 minute drive to downtown Fort Worth. So that's another large employment driver. And then even just in Hurst, Euless, Bedford, North Richland Hills, this area, we're right down the street from Bell Helicopter, Northeast Mall, and just tons of retail. You got 183, 121, obviously 820 as well. So there's a lot of highway around here, and so you can get anywhere quickly. There's a ton of employment drivers over here, and it's a great location.
All right. So here's some pictures of the exterior. What I like about this deal is that it's majority brick exterior, and then pretty much it was built in sort of late 70s, but it feels like an 80s deal when you go out there and walk the property. So maybe tell us a little bit more about the exterior, Ford.
Yeah, totally agree. It definitely shows as an 80s property. I mean, it's built in 1979, but it has, it's the brick exterior. I think it looks nice. I think the next person could definitely update the curb appeal a little bit. It's very beige, but the amenity package is very strong. They've got the splash pad as opposed to a pool. Kids love it. I'm basically a kid. I will probably be out there this summer playing in the splash pad. It looks very fun. Water even shoots out of the palm trees there. And then they just recently updated the office. They do have a tennis court over here that's got 4 corners or four square and some bike tracks and stuff. And then they've got 2 dog parks, a gazebo, a couple of grills for the family. So I think there's not a huge amount to do on the amenities. I would maybe recommend some new furniture around the splash pad. If you can figure out a neat idea with the tennis court, I think that'd be great. But and maybe some additional grills or something, kind of a really neat grill area. Some properties in the submarket have that. But also, you're located right next to a park. It has playground, soccer field, a little running track. So that's another big amenity that's free to you. And you're across the street from elementary school as well that also has a playground. And then the property is majority 2 and 3 bedrooms, 70% 2 and 3 bedrooms. So I think the kids really enjoy living here. It's very family oriented.
Yeah, I'm gonna skip over. I'm gonna jump to the aerial real quick. I mean, the way this deal lays out is it's all two-story, garden style, sort of park in front of your unit, walk up to your unit, and you can see here the splash pad and then tennis court. And the nice thing is, sort of post-COVID, nobody sort of wants to be on top of each other. So I think that
Yeah,
helps on this is just really spread out, and you got plenty of space to sort of get in and out. So. Um,
sure. That's got good density.
yeah, lower density deal. And let's jump over to interiors. We got sort of two pictures here. Maybe walk us through what the current owner has done and sort of upside on the deal from here.
Sure. So basically, every unit has been touched. I mean, you might come across 5 or 10 units that are classic, but everything should have the hardwood flooring or the faux hardwood flooring. The picture on the right is probably the lowest level unit you'd find because it has the white appliances. I believe this was a turn and they changed it to black appliances, but in a backsplash. But you're going to see the bathroom is going to look very similar to this with the updated lighting fixture, the frame mirrors, the hardware and the fans has been updated. And then on the left side, that's what majority of the kitchens are going to look like. I mean, vast majority, 90% of them are going to look like this with the backsplash, the black appliances, those cabinets, those cabinet pulls. And so I think we'll get into it a little bit more later, but there's a couple properties down the street that have substantially higher rents. And I think the units look very similar. So I think, day one, you could probably just ask for a little bit more rent just off the top. But to really catch up fully with the top end of the rent stack, I think a little bit more premium finish out when you're doing the cabinet fronts and instead of the black appliances, maybe the black appliances with like the stainless look kind of attached to the black appliances, and then just updating kind of sinks, little fixtures, things like that. I mean, you're not talking about a whole lot of money, but spending $2,500 to kind of bring this up to the next level should in tandem with the amenity package and location really help you reach the high end of the submarket. Right now, they're kind of in the middle of the pack.
All right. So we mentioned some of these. I wanted to put some of the details of the property. Anything else you wanted to talk about in terms of what the seller's done, in terms of HVAC, all that type of stuff?
Sure. So yeah, as we said, it kind of shows as an 80s deal. I mean, every single unit has washer dryer connections. The one bedrooms have stackable connections, and then all the twos and threes have full size, which is great. Pitched roof. The roof's about 8 years old. It's in good condition. Copper wiring, individual ACs. And last year they actually went through and changed out all the stab lock panels to, I think, Eaton, the new company. All the panels are new as of 2020, so that should help as well. And I think that's a neat deal. But yeah, they've updated the office. They redid the parking lot. They've done a ton of work in the units, obviously, with pretty much everything being renovated. They're updated to an extent. The laundry room, they did a quick update there, and they actually own the laundry equipment in the on-site laundry room, which is nice. It doesn't get a massive amount of use because they've got washer dryer connections in every unit, but it certainly does get used. And then while we're on the subject of washer dryers, they've actually started on 7 units. They've gone in, bought the washer dryer, and rented it to the resident for a $50 premium. So I think that's something the next owner should continue to do as units kind of come available or people are interested into it. I think it's something like a 14 or 15 month payoff period, and it's a good way to add to your NOI.
All right. So here's the arrow we were looking at. You can sort of see this is, I think, looking south, but on the west side of the property is the park, and then sort of to the south of the property is an elementary school. And so you have
Right.
sort of built-in amenities, which are nice. Let's talk about the unit mix, because I think it's pretty favorable to families in this pocket.
Yeah, 70% of these units are 2-bed and 3-bed units and floor plans. I think they average a little bit over 800 square feet, so it's very advantageous. And you can kind of see here where our current rents and the pro forma rents are when we talked about it earlier. But what you could do in the unit and potentially just asking for kind of more in general, we underwrote raising the rents about $100 here.
Okay, so at in-place rents about 970, and then thinking pro forma about 1,075 or so, and that's really driven by look at some of the rent comps, and then also what they're doing there as well. So we pulled this
Correct.
picture of one of the rent comps, so maybe talk about Valley Oaks, sort of where it sits, and sort of what the owner over there has done.
Sure. Yeah, so this property, it's right around the corner. It was built in 1977, so it's very similar property. It has good curb appeal. It's right on Pipeline, but as I said, it's 2 blocks away or 3 blocks away. But you can see the interior of their unit here is kind of what we were talking about earlier, James. They've got the backsplash. You have the backsplash at Oasis Springs, but they've got the updated cabinet fronts that I think show really, really well. And then you can see the updated faucet and a little bit cleaner update on the appliances as well. And whatever your designer says, if you want to do white or black cabinets, what have you. But this is kind of what their finish out looks out. And I really want to focus on the 2-bed, 1.5 bath floor plan that we have at Oasis, because the 3-bed, 2-bath over at Valley Oaks is obviously $385 higher, as you can see here, which is great. But there's only 16 3 bedrooms at Oasis, but there's a ton of the 2 bed, 1.5 bath floor plan. So you can see they've got a 2 bed, 2 bath that has, kind of the same finish out here. Obviously, they have an extra half bath, but their rent over there is $179 higher for kind of this little bit more premium update here. And so we say, hey, we understand you're not maybe going to get all $179, but you should certainly get $125, or $140, somewhere in that range, as compared to this unit if you do a similar finish out.
All right. So you're seeing 2 bed rents about 1,100, and then three on average about 1,400. So about $100 across the floor plans compared to in place right now on the rent comps.
Correct. And you
Okay.
can see over here. Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Go.
you can see over here too, just the average in the submarket. I mean, they're substantially below pretty much every other property. There's one or two properties that have long-term ownership and hasn't done upgrades that they're basically on par with, but Oasis, I think, should show better than most of these.
Okay. All right. Let's jump into the pro forma, sort of where we are today versus where you think this property can go through, and walk through these sort of. We talked about the rental income bumps, sort of by floor plan. Maybe touch on the tech package here.
Sure. I think, the upside is obviously we spent a lot of time on the rents, and I think that's the key here, and that's the bread and butter of what will make this deal is the rental upside you can achieve here, and kind of the premium outlook you can have on the units. But there's a couple other things, a couple other streams of income you can create as well. And I think the laundry that we had hit on, if you're starting to provide some of those, I think there's a big request for covered parking. So I think that's something as well. About 40% of the property right now has reserved parking. They implemented it not too long ago, and I think that's continuing to trend up. I think there's an opportunity to put in extended yards on the first floor as well. So property around the corner, Tribeca Point, has a really nice extended yard townhome floor plan that is well received. And I think you've got the room on basically every downstairs unit to push those out another, 4, 5, 6 feet. And tenants really like that, obviously, especially if they have families. And but then the tech package is a neat thing that this new company we've been connected with, Quext, and they, all your tenants, you're cable ready. They come and they put in AT&T or whoever, and they pay AT&T. And these guys is created by apartment owners. Like, man, why are we giving away that income? So this is a program where they install the Wi-Fi capability in the units, and it's a $35 a month expense to have the equipment or the capability in the unit, and then the tenant would pay $60 a month. So it's about a $25, premium between the two. But the internet speeds are very comparable to AT&T. The price is very comparable. I think, depending on what you look at, it's either $10 more or $10 less a month. And then we kept it simple for the package with just the basic Wi-Fi here, but you can also add cable on top of it, and that creates a larger delta between your revenue and your cost. And then even if you wanted to do smart thermostats, smart locks on the doors, things like that, you can really add as much as, not as much, but as much as you want to this, and really increase the gap there. But we kept it low level here. But if anyone wants to talk to Quext, feel free to reach out to us or Google them. I think it's onequext.com, but we can put you in touch with their group over there. And it's something, even if you're just looking at this and want to potentially implement that on your property, I'm sure they'd be happy to talk to you.
Yeah, we're seeing more and more owners do that because it just helps overall the feel of the resident. You can just walk in, everything's already ready to go. And then a lot of times, people want to get outside their unit, and if you have all these sort of open space and you can still get on Wi-Fi or still have access to things like that, it's nice. So that's definitely one way to sort of drive the NOI and sort of help the resident experience as well.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, what's the whisper price on this deal, Ford, right now?
Yeah, great question. The whisper price is 17,750,000, which is about 115,000 a unit, about 145 a foot, and that's a 4.7 cap on tax adjusted NOI.
Okay, great. So we looked at this a couple different ways. The standard sort of Fannie and Freddie debt we're seeing. Freddie conventional on the floating rate basis is still probably around 3.25 on their starting rate, and that gives you a 12-month lockout with a 1% prepay. They have lessened their P&I requirements in terms of COVID reserves. So the standard is 9 months P&I, but we've been getting waivers. If you are a more experienced borrower, you can get a waiver just to 6 months IO. So that lessens that a lot. Fannie has, with the 10-year Treasury running up a little bit here in the last month or so, it has increased their rates. Right now, they have a 12-month P&I waiver. 12-month P&I reserve, but then you can get waiver up to 6 months IO. And on the far right is really what we've been doing a lot more of is just sort of your non-recourse bridge. We've seen a lot of bridge lenders come into the market, and you can get anywhere up to 70 to 80% of purchase and then 100% of the rehab. So we built in just a rehab number here just for this example of 770,000, and that gets you a loan of about 14.9 total on the deal, and that'll be a 3-year term. And we're seeing rates anywhere from LIBOR plus 350 all the way up to LIBOR plus 425, just depending on the leverage that you take and the experience that you have. And Ford reminded me that Freddie and Fannie, they probably look 75-80% at the property and then 20% at you, the borrower. But on non-recourse bridge, I mean, it's probably half and half. They're going to look at you, the borrower, your experience, your net worth and liquidity in the market, and then sort of figure out what terms they want to give you. So definitely reach out early in the process if you think this is going to be something you're going to go after hard, and we can get you more specific terms on non-recourse bridge loans from there. And so those are typically 3-year term, and then there's no P&I reserve on those. So I know this deal just came out, but is there a call for offers date set yet for it, or where are we in the process?
Right. We have not set a call for offers date yet, but we expect it to be one of the last 2 weeks of April, and we'll probably be setting it kind of later this week and announcing early next week.
All right. Any final wrap up comments for people out there, Ford?
Um, if you have any questions, please reach out to me or James or Al Silva. And if you want to learn a little bit more about our team or see some of the other inventory we may have coming up, I'd recommend everyone take a look at silvamultifamily.com. That's our team's website. And, um, register on the client resources over there. We have tons of sales comp data, research on some markets here in DFW, and also access to inventory. So I would definitely check that out.
Yeah, I always appreciate you guys' sort of monthly newsletter. I think I try to do a good job of keeping up with all the news that happens in DFW multifamily, but you guys put it all together. So if you haven't gone onto a website and signed up, that helps a lot and just sort of puts everything together in one neat package for the beginning of the month. So I appreciate that.
Sure. I think there's one coming out today. So,
All right, sounds good. Thanks a lot, Ford.
all right, thanks, James.